the head coaching news. It never stops, ladies and gentlemen. We had a video covering this yesterday, and we got more head coaching requests coming today. Welcome into Titans Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper. Yeah, we got two more. And also, could there be a QB battle in 2026? Well, Mike Borgonzi spoke to the media today, and it's now up in the air, but I don't really think so. We'll discuss it on the back half of the show. But the Titans, they're requesting more head coach interviews. They are trying to do their due diligence and find the perfect, and I mean perfect, head coaching candidate for this team, because you don't want to go with another, 2 years, 3 years of just irrelevancy. You want to find that perfect guy that is going to take you to the next level. So before we get into it, I want to ask you guys, who do you want as the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans? If you're watching this video, you probably have some candidates in your head right now that you're like, I 100% want him. So let me know down in the comments, who do you want at the helm of the Tennessee Titans? We went over these head coaching requests yesterday. Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnolo, the two Chiefs coordinators, Lou Anarumo, and Vance Joseph. But since then, there has been more head coaching interview requests. And also, they have scheduled a whole bunch of interviews this week. The Titans will actually interview 3. When I was scripting this, it was 2, but it turns out it's going to be 3. They're going to interview Vance Joseph while the Denver Broncos are on their bye week because they got the number 1 seed. But let's go over some of the coaches that the Titans will talk to that we haven't talked about just yet. And if you saw, yesterday, the Browns, they fired their head coach, Kevin Stefanski. And you see this tweet from Adam Schefter right here that they're expected to speak with the Falcons, the Giants, and the Tennessee Titans about their head coaching vacancies. And then Peter Schrager, who also works for ESPN, he said the Titans will interview Raheem Morris. We'll talk all about that. And the ex-Falcons coach who just got fired on their vacant head coach job later this week. And then the final one, which I think is the most interesting one out of the 3 new head coaching candidates that we have seen. Kliff Kingsbury, he parted ways with the Washington Commanders today, and already from Jordan Schultz that it is expected that the Giants and the Titans, among others, are expected to interview Kingsbury for their head coaching position. Let's start with just Kevin Stefanski and the Browns head coach, because I think he is probably going to be the more desired candidate more than anybody on the market, because if it was him getting fired, which he did, it was rumored that he was going to be the top guy. Let's talk about it. Like this 2-time NFL Head Coach of the Year award winner, he has led the Browns to basically not being irrelevant. They were awful, and I mean awful, before he took over for Freddie Kitchens. I think it was back in 2020. Took him to the playoffs a couple times. He is an offensive-minded head coach with heavy play-action mindset, and I think that would work perfect for Cam Ward. The only problem, he has 8 wins in the last 2 seasons. I would absolutely love Kevin Stefanski as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He's an offensive-minded head coach. We have seen what he has done with Baker Mayfield, and I get a little bit of Baker Mayfield vibes with Cam Ward. He can make plays with his legs. He can be a magician, and if you get him with the talent of Stefanski and Cam Ward, I think that would be a recipe for success. But then you have all the questions of, they kind of sucked the last 2 years. But then again, when you give a whole bunch of money and throw your entire future at a guy that hasn't played football and hasn't been good and has some legal troubles in Deshaun Watson, that kind of takes away from things. And then you go for the whole Shador thing. So it's hard to evaluate Stefanski because it's the Cleveland Browns. They're a disaster. They're a dumpster fire. They just threw away Baker Mayfield to the side because they just thought that it was over with. And we saw the full potential of Stefanski with Baker Mayfield. Now, it's definitely a good position to get him with a guy like Cam Ward where the talent is there. So I would love Kevin Stefanski. Now on to the other guy, Raheem Morris. Oh, I can't believe they're actually even thinking about this. Raheem Morris is a bigger do not hire than Matt Nagy. And Matt Nagy, he kind of, I will say, he did say that he would not call plays for the Tennessee Titans if he became the head coach, which I think is a perfect opportunity. Maybe even offensive-minded head coach, a guy who can be a leader. That changes a lot of things. But Raheem Morris, oh no, stay the hell away. And I got this from the Falcons today and from the host, Trace Moustakis. And this is the resume. hired 26 head coaches on staff. They fired Jimmy Lake after one season. They fired a whole bunch of coaches. Raymond McLeod, they just cut him for no reason. Zach Robinson they hired, and he is an awful play caller. They go in the pistol way too much. Raheem Morris has no idea how to manage the clock. He cannot win the close games. They have all the talent in the world, ladies and gentlemen. The Falcons have such a good defense, and they barely missed the playoffs because they sucked at the beginning of the year. They finished the season off, I think it was like 4-1, and then you had the mismanage of Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. That would be like you hire Raheem Morris, and with the fourth pick, if Dante Moore just fell to the Titans' lap, they drafted Dante Moore after having Cam Ward. That's basically what Raheem Morris and the Atlanta Falcons did with giving Kirk Cousins a 200-something or how many million-dollar contract, and then you go out and draft Michael Penix. And you also see that record right there, 37-56. That's terrible. He is not fit to be a head coach. And if you brought him in and was the Tennessee Titans head coach, it would be an absolute disaster. Not to mention he's a defensive-minded head coach. He'd be a good DC. I would love to bring him in as a defensive coordinator, but we already talked about that one a little bit, how, Denner Wilson wants a spot at the head coach as DC. I think they already have their defensive coordinator, but Raheem Morris is not fit to be a head coach. So hopefully the Titans don't do it, but they're going to give him an interview. I gave you guys the points that I made. I would not even think about hiring Raheem Morris. He has had 2 stops at head coaches, and it's been a failure in both of them. You get second chance. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you know the rest. Like, no, absolutely not. But go down in the comments section and let me know what you think. Now, there's Kliff Kingsbury. And Kliff Kingsbury is a very desired head coach because he is an offensive genius. And when I mean offensive genius, he is very, very, very smart. Because we saw him at Texas Tech. We saw him then in Arizona. And then we're seeing him in Washington. And I will say his head coaching tenure wasn't the greatest, like 28-37 with the Arizona Cardinals. 0-1 in the NFL playoffs and 6 years at Texas Tech. Well, wasn't the best record. But he is an offensive genius. He would elevate Cam Ward better than we have ever seen another quarterback. The type of play calls that he has are perfect. We see how Kyler Murray elevated his game when Kliff Kingsbury was the head coach of the Cardinals. He was looking at his best for Kyler. Their Cardinals are talking about trading him now. And in his first year with the Washington Commanders, he already found a perfect quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and look how good Jaden Daniels was in his rookie season. But at the head coach, that's where it kind of gets questionable because when he starts seasons, he's really good. You can see right there in his first year as head coach of the Cardinals, like he started off 3-4 in the first 7 games. In 2021, 7-0. 2020, 5-2. But then when you look at the second halves of the season, he just completely falls apart. The first 7 weeks, 45-24-1. Then the rest of the season, each and every year, you count it all together, 18-54. He falls apart halfway through the season when teams are able to get film and watch him throughout the entire year, and they figure out exactly what he is doing. I think he would definitely take Cam Ward to the next level, but are they going to win games? That's the biggest question. I will say I do like what the Titans are doing and what Mike Borgonzi is doing. They are interviewing tons of head coaches. Nagy, Spagnolo, Lou Anarumo, Vance Joseph, Kliff Kingsbury, everybody. I'm sure we're going to hear a bunch more coaching candidates. I really like them doing their due diligence because you need to find that perfect guy. But Raheem Morris is just not the guy I'm looking at. Absolutely not. And when the Titans do eventually come up with their head coaching hire, you know we got you covered here on Titans Today. All throughout the head coaching search, from front to back, detailed, everything. I'm going to give you my rankings of coaches that the Titans are going to hire soon enough later, probably later this week. So go ahead, hit that sub button right now. On the back half of the show, Will Levis is back. He's back. Well, according to Mike Borgonzi, he might just be. But before we get into that, I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time. Trying something new can be hard, but in life and on PrizePicks, it feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. It's a new feature on PrizePicks that has early payouts. If your playoff gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. I have a lineup for Wild Card Weekend. And I'm going to take the more on Trevor Lawrence at 230.5 passing yards. That Buffalo defense is sus. And then Jalen Hurts, give me the less. He's terrible. 205 passing yards. He doesn't complete passes in the second half. Give me the less on that one. And then Ramondre Stevenson. Everybody thinks that Travion Henderson is the main back. It's Ramondre. Don't overthink it. Give me the more on that one at 38.5. You can make a lineup just like that when you download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. So when I was scripting this video, it was mainly going to be just talking about coaching candidates and what the interviews have been for the Tennessee Titans. But then I saw this little tidbit from Mike Borgonzi talking about Will Levis, and we know Will Levis. He had shoulder surgery back in July, and it said he was going to miss the entire 2025 season. Well, he's still on the roster. He just got placed on IR, and he's back, and he's healthy. And then Mike Borgonzi said, well, he does have a role for us in 2026. He said he talked to him yesterday, and he is doing very well. So my question is, what does this mean? What do you mean he's going to have a role on this team? Is he going to play quarterback? I don't think so. Is he going to do something else? Are you going to just build him up to try to trade him? What does that mean? But I will say, when voluntary OTAs start and everything happens that goes into May and the workouts start with the team, Levis could get the first team reps. He might be the only quarterback besides Brandon Allen that is there to take the reps because we know that Cam Ward suffered an injury on that final game of the season against the Jaguars. But good news, in case you guys missed it and didn't watch the video yesterday, the AC joint sprain in his shoulder. That's it. No surgery needed. He'll probably miss 6 to 8 weeks. But since he is out, that means that when the workouts happen, Will Levis is going to take those first team reps. And if you're able to show, maybe you could get some tape, show some scouts, this guy is healthy, you could get draft capital. Because I think that's what the role truly is. We know that Cam Ward is the franchise quarterback. The Levis role is to get you as many reps as physically possible, get you the highest that you could possibly be, build your stock up, and then trade you for a third or a fourth round pick because there's a lot of quarterbacks there's a lot of teams in the NFL that need quarterbacks. You know one specifically? Probably the Raiders if they don't take Mendoza. But Cam Ward is the future. And if you don't believe me, well, the stats don't lie. Because in 2024, Levis got benched. And Cam Ward played every single snap of the 2025 season until that final game in the final drive. But, well, Cam Ward had more touchdowns, less interceptions, more yards, less completion percentage. But if you look at the last 7 games, Cam Ward looked 5,000 times better than Will Levis. And QB rating just about the same. So I would assume that they're probably just going to trade him because Cam Ward is the quarterback of the future. I love Will Levis. You're a Kentucky alum, but it's Cam Ward. So you guys predict it for me down in the comments section. What will the Titans do with Will Levis? Are they going to trade him or are they going to keep him? Go down in the comments section, type your T's or type your K's. That's going to do it for the latest episode of Titans Today by Chat Sports. Make sure you hit that sub button. We got you covered all throughout the coaching head coaching search. So you don't miss out on a single thing. And as always, tighten up.